Earning.
But all right, I called this, Bud. I'm going to take credit for this. That Jim Comey was working on a book, because when he got in front of Congress and used the phrase Loretta Lynch, her trying to say call it a matter, not an investigation, that it made him queasy, and just how he presented himself. Well, lo and behold, he's shopping a book. The book is expected to go to auction this coming week, with all the major publishing houses reportedly expressing interest. What do you make of the move by your former colleague?
Well, I'm sure I'll read it. I'm sure it'll be a great book. I've heard Jim Comey speak, and I've seen what he writes, and he always writes very inspirational, high-minded things about ethics, and if that's his goal, then more power to him. I think, I've been fired. You see football coaches get fired. These big public company officers get fired. Now Jim Comey, they walk away with millions of dollars. I've never gotten a dime when I've been fired. So it's just, it's frustrating. But I'm glad somebody wants to give him that kind of money. I read seven figures.
What'd you get fired for? I'm interested to hear more about this. When did you get fired? What happened?
I got very publicly fired by Alberto Gonzalez, but that was a whole different story that we probably don't have time for to rehash today.
But the thing is if he wants to sell this book, he should have withheld something in terms of he's got to have some new dirt and some new juice in this book, and I just wonder, how much is in there.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how much he addresses this series of events, from Loretta Lynch's meeting with Bill Clinton forward, and how he made the decisions he made, apparently against the advice of people around him. And to date, he's stood by those decisions and said he'd do them again. Maybe upon reflection, he'll say, maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I should have gone a different direction. I think the book will be more interesting if he admits some mistakes, but maybe he'll explain to us things that we don't know right now that'll make his decisions look
Do you think one of
better.
those mistakes is actually leaking confidential information to one of his friends who happens to be a professor at Columbia University, so it gets out in the headlines? Do you think that was one of the mistakes?
I think that was his biggest mistake, because that one looked to be purely self-serving and hurt his credibility, I think, quite a bit.
But he won't admit that, because he got what he wanted. He essentially got the special prosecutor appointed by that very leak, and that's what his goal was. And he admitted that in the congressional testimony. Hey, Bud, it was good to see you.
Oh, thank you all for having me on. It's good to talk to you.
Always. Bud Cummins.
Bye-bye.